Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. I'm going to take a page out of our Ambassador's book. I'm going to do my monologue for a little bit, then I'm going to start the timer. I greet you all today in the name of the all-existent one, the all-eternal, powerful one, Yahweh, who has created the heavens and the earth, who has blessed our ancestors with the ability to understand his mitzvot and pass them down from generation to generation, that even in this exile, as we speak right now, that's a beautiful thing. This is what you do with children. When you tell them to do something, they just go, just bold and bald-faced, just walk right up here. Thank you, sir. You were obedient. Yes. So I greet all of you by way of stream, all of our enemies, those that are committing espionage amongst the people of Hebrew Israel. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. All of you that have joined me in the studio audience today, I say Shabbat Shalom to all of you, to our head ambassador, Rabbi Robert B. Holman Jr., and our ambassador, head of our worship outreach, Ambassador Kevin Holman. To all of you, I say Shabbat Shalom. Hebrew Israel, are you in the house? That was weak. Come on. Are you in the house? All right. All right. Whew. I'm ready. I'm charged up. I'm ready to go. I'm like Muhammad Ali. I'm ready to get it. I want to get it on. Bop, 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 bop. Okay. This is a teaching that has been in an incubator for the last month. As the Most High, I was getting ready to present this last week, the Most High put the brakes on all that. Yeah, get what you need to get out, but let me clear some space so when you actually come back and do this, you have a lot of time to go, what? Slowly. Slow down. You move too fast. You got to let the good, oh, wait a minute. So y'all don't know that song? See, wait a minute. Why is it when Rabbi does it, y'all know all these songs, but then when I do it, this is about the new month, or you may know it as the new moon. We're going to do this particular study and get this out of the way. This is going to clean up a lot of stuff that we have going on with our calendar. And I want to basically ask the congregation here right now, what was the first calendar that was put into place? Yahweh's calendar. Because what does it say? In the beginning, the Most High created. And he set these two luminaries and some smaller luminaries in the sky on the fourth day. So the idea of us being on a Gregorian calendar, which is what we're on right now, March, April, May, June, July, all that, is something that has been brought into fruition afterwards, right? So we don't think of the Hebrew calendar fitting inside the Gregorian calendar. The Gregorian calendar fits inside the Hebrew calendar. And we're going to go over that today. Part of this, again, was driven by this idea of this issue of the Rosh Chodesh. So let's jump right into it. What can you tell me? And no answer is wrong. So matter of fact, I'm going to go to this next slide, and then I'm going to come back to this one. I got a lot of places I'm going to go today. Okay? We're going to study. Make sure you have your notebooks or your phones out so you can take these down. Do one of these numbers right here with your phone. Do something like that. Okay? If you can't type, it's fast. Okay? I'm going to come back to this. For the group, what can you tell me about, or matter of fact, we have what? We have these Moedims, right? We have these festivals that we celebrate. And we are experiencing one right now, which is called the Shabbat. There are also things that are written in text about this thing called this Rosh Chodesh. Can anybody tell me what they know about Rosh Chodesh? And no answer is wrong. New moon, okay, let's put that up there. Okay, let's go new moon. What else? Yeah, starting beginning of the month. Or I should say, let's go back here. So the new moon is connected to the beginning of the new month, right? What else do we know about it? We know that it's set apart, okay? Anybody else? Okay. They blew the shofar. And excuse my penmanship. What else? It's Shabbat, okay. What else? While I'm up here writing, I can stay up here. Nothing else? Pretty much covers it? All right. Save for some of these, you are 110% correct. That's great news. You're 110% correct. That's great news if you were all Jews. Okay? If we were all in Judaism, these answers would be correct. But we're not. We're Hebraic. Okay? So, this is okay, but it's not really the right answer, according to Hebrews. Now, we have to break down what this is all about. Now, I'm surprised before I even go to this next one. There's one that we forgot to put up there. When it's connected, the new moon is connected to the new month by what? What are you looking for? You're looking for the sliver. You've heard of that before? The sliver is when you go out, and that's when the new month begins. Okay, let's do a deep dive into this. Because as we proceed, as Sean Puffy Combs would say, to give you what you need. We need to dig into this and understand what this is and when this festival actually begins and ends and how it fits into the Hebraic calendar. In order to do that, I have to explain the Hebraic calendar, okay? All right, let's start there first. And I'm gonna resolve all this right now, just so everybody understands where I'm getting ready to go with this. I wrote that at the top. It says the new month. And actually, I want to go to my next slide here. And oops, not that one. This right here. Okay. Where do we get the name, or where did that come from? Rosh Chodesh. What does it actually mean? It means head, what we've understood it as, or new moon. The word Chodesh, reading from right to left, with a chet, dalet, and shin, with these particular vowel markings, forms the word Chodesh, which is the word for month. Okay? Is that clear? Hebrews don't read with these vowel markers on here. So these dots are not there. So if I took that away, another word using those same three characters is the word chadash, which means new. So what they're doing is they're combining this word new, which is chadash, and this word here, which is chodesh, to come up with new month. It is not new moon. The Hebrew word for moon is, I think it's yerucha. Yerecha, excuse me. Yerecha is the word for moon. So when we're reading the Hebraic text and you come across this form here, it is talking about the new month. So let me go back to this slide here. The correct interpretation when you come across this in text is not Rosh Chodesh. It is just Chodesh, which is month. Month. Okay? Chodesh means month. There is another word for moon. Yerecha is the word for moon. So Rosh Chodesh cannot mean new moon. It means new month. Okay? So let's get the terminology and the vernacular correct before we move forward. Is that crystalline clear? Clear. Very good. Let's go into the actual, and actually what I got to do here in this, let's just get into it. Because I'm going to give you the Hebraic explanation and the culmination of this now. The Rosh, or not Chodesh, we're not even going to refer to it as a Rosh Chodesh. It's just the Chodesh. Okay? The Chodesh has mitzvot. And we're going to go over those mitzvot, and we have to observe those mitzvot. Okay? There's two things that you need to know about the Chodesh. Is that the Chodesh represents months, a series of months, and it also represents the individual months. What do I mean by series of months? Your seasons are a series of months. The fall season has a series of months with it. The summer months have a series of months with them. Okay? We're going to go through text in Bereshit chapter 1 verse 14 that talks about how these luminaries in the sky represent seasons. Do we celebrate the seasons, the change of the seasons as Hebrews? No, because we don't have a connection with the calendar and what the text says. So let me go through this, strip everything down to its bare bones. It's like you get a junk car, and what you want to do, you want to strip all that paint off of it. You want to get it down to its raw state so you can work with it. So let's strip all this down and go through this, okay? The Chodesh. The Chodesh is what was defined as the new moon in Judaism. The concept of new moon has its origination in Judaism. Those who practice Judaism assert that the phrase Rosh, meaning head, and Chodesh, meaning months. The word month, Chodesh, in Hebrew is comprised of three characters, which I just showed you a second ago. From right to left, it's Chet, Dalet, Shin. These same root characters are used to comprise the Hebrew word Chadash, which I went over and showed you that too. Okay? The root, or the shor shem of the word with different vowel points can give us different meanings. Chadash versus Chodesh, new versus moon. This is confirmed in several passages, one being Bamidbar 10 and 10, Bamidbar 28 and 11, and Bamidbar 29 and 6. What you're going to see there when you read it in the Masoretic text, it's going to say at the beginning of your months. At the beginning of your months. The moon is how in Judaism and Islam and other various religions calculate how many days pass in a particular month. When using the lunar calendar, all months are not equal in length. So let me just say that up front. We do not follow a lunar calendar as Hebrews. Now, I'm going to back that up with some text. Okay? We are not on a lunar system. Other religions are, Judaism and Islam. In fact, the word month and moon are cognates in etymology. What does that mean? A month is a time from when one moon to the next moon. So that's how you measure it. It's to say from one basically new moon, if you will, to another new moon, is that length of time in between is a month. So they're cognates. They're closely related to each other. In science, how does the new moon get described in science? Concerning the lunar month is approximately 29. This is what science says. Now, if barring everything else you know, if the scientist was to sit down in front of you and give you his opinion of what the new moon is, this is what we're doing. Okay? I want to give you all points of view. Concerning the lunar month, is approximately 29.53 days as viewed from Earth. The lunar phase or moon phase is the shape of the moon's directly sunlit portion described quarterly using terminology of the 4 phases. New moon, let me put that up here so you can see this. See how technically jargon this is? I'm going to simplify all this and make this real simple. All right. Whoa, we got to go back. All right. So, if you can see that, hopefully, the phases of the moon, the new moon, when it is completely black, the first quarter, down at the bottom, at 6 o'clock. The first quarter. Then you have the full moon, and you have obviously the third quarter. And then in between, what you have is these issues of waxing and waning. Just going over the moon phases. A new moon is essentially the opposite of a full moon. You can see that right there, horizontally. During the full moon, we see the side of the moon that is being illuminated by the sun, giving the moon its bright glowing appearance. During a new moon, however, I don't agree with this, but just so we know, and during a new moon, however, we see the side of the moon that is not being illuminated by the sun, which makes the moon blend in with the dark sky. How is the new moon described? And so let me actually take a sidebar here real quick and let you understand how I understand the moon phases, okay? Is everybody familiar with what this is? This is called a hourglass, all right? Think of that as an hourglass. And the sand that's represented in here is light, okay? So, according to science, at the new moon, if I was to pop a hole right here on this side of the moon, I'd start dumping light into it. I'm dumping light, and as the month transverses, more light is entering the moon, until the moon is full. That means when all that sand or this light represented here enters this piece down here. That is called the waxing of the moon. It's also like on the second side of the cycle is if I pop the hole on the other side of the moon and the moon light is draining out of it. See that? Till it gets to the point we're back to where we started with no sand at the top. That's how you can think of the phases of the moon, how light enters and exits the moon from a scientific standpoint. Very remedial, very watered down, but does everybody understand that example? Okay? All right, very good. That's the point and main view of science. How is it described in Islam? The crescent represents progress, and the 5-pointed star, light and knowledge. The moon is an appointed sign of the time, seasons, fast and feast, and it governs the Islamic calendar. It governs the Islamic calendar. We're not on a lunar calendar, all right? What about the new moon in Christianity? The New Testament makes several references to the new moon. Did you know that? Matter of fact, even though they call it the new moon, for us, it's the new month. Point of fact, let me also formulate your mind on where I'm getting ready to go. The new month does not correlate to a moon phase. I'm going to really mess you up with that one. You are not looking for a sliver every single month. The new month can fall on any one of these phases. That's the big difference that you got to get in your mind up front. Is before you were told that the sliver designates when, in Judaism, when the new month starts. The new moon, which is this right here, designates when the sliver shows up, that's the beginning of the new month. That's not Hebraic. The new month can start on any one of these phases. I'm going to tell you why in a second. And all you young folk, matter of fact, I'm going to give it to you right now. All you young folk can go put this in your phone right now. Go Google this right now. The lunar phase or the lunar cycle is 354 days. How do you fit 354 days and make that reconcile with a 364-day calendar? That is the Hebrew calendar. It's 364 days. The lunar calendar is 354 days. Do you see the problem already? That if what? I'm already giving my thunder away already. You see the problem? If I'm on the lunar calendar and I'm 10 days too short, Aviv has to fall in the spring every single year. It has to hit it every single year, the spring. If you're 10 days too early, Pesach is now going to be in the winter. It's going to keep scooting back 10 days if you're on a lunar calendar. You cannot be on a lunar calendar because it says what? In Shemot 12, Aviv is the beginning of your months. Aviv is the word for springtime. So you have to hit it every single year at the same time. If you're on a lunar calendar, you won't do it. Okay? So, in Christianity, let me get back to that. The New Testament makes several references to the new moon, but there is no definitive use of the new moon in the Christian lifestyle. Let me say that one more time. The New Testament makes several references to the new moon, but there is no definitive use of the new moon in the Christian lifestyle. The most famous of all texts about the new moon is what? It's found in 2 Colossians. You've heard it several times. What does it say? So don't let them pass judgment on you in your connection with eating and drinking, or in regards, let me slow down. Let me let you catch up. 16, Colossians 2nd chapter, verses 16 through 17. It says, so don't let anyone pass judgment on you in connection with eating and drinking, or in regard to the Jewish festival, or Rosh Chodesh, or the Shabbat. So why are we sitting over here telling folk that don't believe in the mitzvot that you shouldn't let anybody judge you about you observing the Shabbat or the new month? These are a shadow of things that are coming, but the body is of Messiah. Now that's been interjected in there. But it's used over in Christianity in their text as well. I'll give you a reference. In the Theological Workbook of the Old Testament, Volume 1, page 266, the new moon began when the thin crescent of the new moon was first visible at sunset. How is the new moon described in paganism? The ancient Greeks recognized the visible new moon as the beginning of the month when they celebrated the sickle of the new moon with offerings and meals. This was also the case in the ancient Babylonians, who worshipped the new moons as Isis, and her wearing horns, which resembled the new moon. Now, lastly, out of the big three, Islam, Judaism, Christianity, and I also added two or more in there, science and paganism. Judaism, how is it recognized there? The new moon festival has maintained its importance in the Jewish cultus up to the New Testament times. The time was not set by astronomical calculations, but as of the observance demanded that as many witnesses as possible should report the appearance of the sickle to the appropriate authorities. The Hebrew lunar calendar contained 12 months. Listen to this. This is why we're not on a lunar calendar. The Hebrew lunar calendar contained 12 months of 30 days, which also is a customary period of mourning, which you can find in Devarim 21:13 and Bamidbar 20 and 29. Yet the actual lunar cycle is only about 29 and a half days, which resulted in a year of 354 days and a half, keeping the lunar calendar contained with the seasons of the year. Listen to this. If you don't get anything else out of what Judaism is doing, listen to this sentence right here, because Judaism acknowledges it. It says, keeping the lunar calendar coordinated with the seasons of the year required adding a 13th month. Let's pull up the complete Jewish Bible. Let's go to the complete Jewish Bible for just a couple ticks. And actually, what I want to do is, while we're over there, I think I want to go to, let's try Shemot 16. Is it Shemot? No, do I want Shemot 16? Where is it in my notes? Where is it here in my notes? Because where I'm going with this, just so you guys can understand, is that, when you're reading the complete Jewish Bible and it says, in separate years, read this extra piece. It's in there. It's in between the chapters. It says when you're doing the parashahs that are in the complete Jewish, everybody knows what I'm talking about when I say the parashahs are broken up in the complete Jewish Bible. And in between parashahs, it says, in these years, read this extra piece. That's them dealing with their calendar in this extra 13th month that they have. Because they recognize that the lunar calendar is only 354 days. And they have to reconcile it somehow, even in their parashahs. Okay? What I was trying to do, that's okay. What I was trying to do is get you to see that in the complete Jewish Bible, because at the end, if you can maybe even while I'm talking, maybe scroll up and down, you might find one in between those parashahs that are there. But I want to keep moving because I have quite a bit to cover. All right. Hebrews, let's wipe the slate clean. Let's learn about sun, the moon, the year, when the year starts. Let's answer some simple questions. Let's figure out how many days we have in a Hebrew year. Everybody wants to know that. Everybody should want to know when the Hebrew year starts. When does a day start? When does a day end? Okay? What are the actual days of the month? How many days are actually in a month? Okay? So we don't miss these Moedims that we're supposed to have. Okay? See, what does that one say? Keep going. Keep going up. There you go. Right there. It says when. Keep going up. Keep going up. Other up. Yeah, other up. There you go. Oh, no, that says when you take. I thought they'll actually have notes in there that says in these years, read this extra piece. All right. What is the purpose? Let's go over the purpose of the moon itself. Okay? Let's do that. Where are we going to find that? Bereshit, chapter 1, verse 14. Let's read it together. Let's read it together. Survey says, El said, let there be lights in the dome of the sky to divide the day from night. Let's stop and take a quick pause here. If anybody's, I would argue, is going to tell you that the new moon is this guy over here, I'd go to Bereshit chapter 1 and say, what does that say? That the Most High put what in the sky? Lights. How can this be new? And the Most High said he put a light up there. That's a light. Okay? So even just looking at it from a standpoint, logically from the text, you don't get out of the first sentence before you start asking the questions like, who told you guys that the sliver and a pure black moon was the new moon? Okay? Says, let them be for signs. What does that mean? In the case of the moon, I know when it's harvest time. I know when it's time to plant because of the positioning of the moon in the sky. Okay? For seasons. Do you recognize the changing of your seasons Hebraically? No, you don't. They serve for days and for years. All right? That's their purpose. And let them be for lights in the dome of the sky to give light to the earth. And that's how it was. El made two great lights. Does everybody know these two lights that I'm talking about? The sun and the moon. The larger light to rule the what? The day. And the smaller to rule the night and the stars. El put them in the dome of the sky to give light to the earth. That's their purpose, to give light to the earth and also to serve as signs for seasons, days, and years. 18, to rule over the day and over the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. And El saw that it was tov. So there was evening and there was morning, a fourth day. Should I do the day now? Can I clean up the day now when the day starts? Okay, by consensus, I'm going to do this right now because we're right here. For those of you that have also heard this issue about the day starts when the sun goes down, okay, I'm going to offer hopefully some logical rebuttals to all that, why that's not necessarily so. Okay? You got some things. Think of this, imagine a bag. And on the front of the bag, there's the word written day, big D, okay? Day. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put evening in the bag. I'm going to put morning in the bag. I'm going to put nighttime in the bag. And then I'm going to put daytime in the bag. You call all those four components a day, right? Kind of simple. It's like, why is that just earth-shattering? Because what we have to do is we have to clear up this issue of it starting at evening. Okay? What we see here in Bereshit chapter 1, verse 14, and actually in verse 19, it says, so there was evening and there was morning, a fourth day. You will have people say to you, okay, it says that it was evening, then it was morning. That's when the day starts because of that order right there. You see that? See how they're coming up with that? To say the reason why we started in the evening is because of that verse 19 that says there was evening and then there was morning. Okay? I would offer this. All that's talking about is these transitions right here. It's not giving you an order. It's talking about the transitions that are there. Because what did you have? You had day, you had light, and you had darkness. And you didn't have a transition between the two. So what did he make in order to make a transition between the two? Evening and morning. All right, so it's just to designate these pieces here, not an order. All right? Let me also appeal to your logic in another way. All right? Let's go to Shemot, actually, chapter 16. Let's go back there for a second. You can pull that back up for me. We're going to read a little bit. We're going to start at the first verse. Because what I'm trying to establish here is that even when your ancestors went out and collected manna, they collected it when? In the morning, when the day started, right? That's what they did. So there it is. It says they travel. Now let's apply the logic of Judaism to this, to say, okay, the day starts in the evening. So even if I applied it to what I talked about with manna, if you collect the manna on the what? The sixth day, a double portion. If you were to do it and collect it when the day started, you'd be doing it in the evening. And the manna didn't show up until the morning. Okay? Your body is connected to this cycle. Because what? Your day starts when you get up. Your day don't start when you're getting ready to go to sleep. It's counterintuitive. It's backwards. All right? But here, let's apply a case here. It says they traveled from Elam, the whole community of the people of Israel, and arrived in the Sin desert between Elam and Sinai on the 15th day of the second month. So if I apply Judaism to this, they arrived when? Here. at night. Let's go all the way down. 22. Verse 22. I'm going to skip around a little bit. Okay, on the 6th day, they gathered twice as much bread, 2 omers. This is what I was talking about with gathering the manna. On the 6th day, if I'm going and I'm, again, looking at it from a Judaism standpoint, on the 6th day when it begins, I should have been able to start collecting manna in the evening. And I don't start collecting it until the morning. So the day starts when the sun hits the horizon. All right? So when the sun hits the horizon here, and you start, because you're going to start seeing light anyway, but when the sun hits the horizon, you're in the Shabbat until it sets. Let me give you another example. Also, a part of your mitzvot. There's a mitzvot that says that you will observe Yom Kippur from evening to evening. Why would the Most High specifically tell you to go from evening to evening if we were already on a Judaism system that started it in the evening already? Why would he repeat that? If you're already doing it, then why do I need to tell you that? He's telling you that because you're not looking at a day the same way. The day starts when the sun hits the horizon. But on Yom Kippur, I want you to start it in the evening before. He's giving you a specific time. Does that make sense? Ooh, I'm getting in some deep water here. This is what you're not going to hear tomorrow at the 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 11 o'clock service, okay? Because they're going to want to shout and dance and roll down the aisle and pick a bale of cotton and do a whole bunch of other stuff. But I'm going to blow my own shofar. He says I'm going to wag my own tail. I'm going to blow my own shofar, okay? We're here to teach and to learn so we can grow and understand when we get back into the land how we're supposed to function and be at our meeting at the right appropriate time, okay? Psalms 104, verse 19. Continuing on with this issue, and this is the word I was looking for earlier today. Continuing on with this idea of the moon is to mark the seasons. What does it say here? It says, you made the moon, which is Yarecha, that's the word for you, moon, not Chodesh, to mark the seasons, right? Season for planting, season for harvesting. And the sun knows when to set. Now, since we've gotten through that far, let's talk about the mitzvot that are germane to the month, the new month. So we're not going to refer to it as the new moon. That's what Judaism, Islam, science, that's what they all refer to it as. We are going to refer to it as the beginning of our new month that is not connected to a moon phase. Okay? I got to go somewhere. I'm trying to put this thing together. All right. We got to go to our first reference. And I got to set this up real quick, just so you understand this for all you geeks and nerds that are out there. All right? The mitzvot on the moon. I want to read something from the book of Jubilees. Have anybody heard of the Apocrypha books? You ever heard of the Apocrypha books? They're not, what have they been telling you about them? Hopefully you guys can see that. If you can blow that up, please, because that's going to be extremely, you're going to be reading that with a magnifying glass. Let's go to Jubilees. The Apocrypha books. All right. Not all of our literature is made known to us. There are extra books outside of the Masoretic text that you read that are germane to Hebrew Israel. Okay? They're called the Apocrypha books. Those books that haven't been canonized, those are also Apocrypha books that are germane to the New Testament. I'm talking about the Apocrypha books that are germane to the Masoretic text. I want to warn you, before you jump into at least any of these Apocrypha books, that you have a good, strong foundation in Torah. Your foundation in Torah should be stellar before you jump over there, because you're not going to understand a lot of stuff that's happening over in those apocryphal books without a good understanding of the mitzvot. Okay? And what's been going on in our history. They're going to seem clueless about it. All right. I want to give a case for using the apocryphal books, and it comes right out of our Masoretic text. I'm going to tell you maybe some reasons why. Has anybody actually been told not to use them? Okay, good. So for those of you that have been told not to use the apocryphal books, they're going to give you some reasons why. And it's usually coming out of the Christian camp that tells you this. They're going to tell you the reason why you shouldn't use the apocryphal books is because Jesus doesn't quote them. They're also going to tell you that they're not used because we don't know half of the authors that actually narrated or inscribed the apocryphal books. We don't know that. Okay? They're going to tell you stuff like that. They're going to tell you that they're uninspired. But I would beg to differ, because if you go to Yahshua, not meaning that you need to go there, but I'm giving you a reference. If you go to Yahshua, chapter 10, there is a place in there that talks about one of the apocryphal books called the Book of Yasher. Have you ever heard of that? The Book of Yasher is an apocryphal book that's in the book of Yahshua that's referenced. It's when the sun stood still in the sky for a day. And it says it's confirmed in the book of Yasher. So if the Masoretic text is giving some credence to it and saying even Yahshua is telling you, hey, listen, for extra information on this, go to the book of Yasher. Where else do we have some references? The book of Wars can be found referenced in Bamidbar chapter 2. The Chronicles of the Kings of Israel and the Chronicles of the Kings of Yehuda, these are apocryphal books, can be referenced in the 14th chapter of Kings. The Chronicles or the Annals of the Kings is in 1 Kings chapter 16, verse 20. The book of the Shemaiah, the prophet, and the story of the prophet Edo, these are also apocryphal books. They're referenced in 2 Chronicles, chapter 9, verse 29, 2 Chronicles, chapter 12, verse 15. Go back and listen to this again and go look at all these things, because you'll see that all these places that I just pointed out to you are related to the apocryphal books. Okay? Now, I need to go to Jubilees. Let's go to Jubilees for a minute. All right. Book of Jubilees. And I'm going to read this because that's pretty small up there on there. So just listen to what the book of Jubilees is saying. Verse 6 of the book of Jubilees. It says, on the new moon. That's really what it says. I'm just reading it verbatim, what it says there. On the first month and on the new moon of the fourth month. Remember, it's not new moon. It's new month. So listen to what it says. Let's read it over again. And on the new month of the first month, and on the new moon or new month of the fourth month, and on the new month of the seventh month, and on the new month of the 10th month are days of remembrance. What did he just line out for us? He just lined out every single one of your seasons. First month. First month. Set of months. On the first month, this is the first set of months. And he says on what? The fourth, right? What does he say there? On the fourth. The new moon on the fourth month. So there's the first, the fourth, the seventh, and the 10th. All right? Right? There's got to be, what did we say? 364 days in a year. I'm going to back that up real quick and I'm going to skip around. All right? I got to take you over to the book of Enoch. Oh, man. These are the book of Enoch, the 72nd chapter. Here, around verse 32, it says, now the book of Enoch is a good book because it gives you really your the delineations of how many days are in a month, and it also tells you about your year. Okay? In the book of Enoch, it says, on that day, the night decreases and the amounts to 9 parts, and on the day to 9 parts, and the night is equal to the day, and the year is exactly as it is to 364. So that's where I'm getting the year is 364 days. This is also compounded back in the book of Jubilees. If I go back to the book of Jubilees and I go to the 32nd chapter, I know it's small up there, so please forgive me for that. In the 32nd chapter, book of Jubilees, 32nd verse. To see that right there. Okay. This is in the book of Jubilees. It says, and commanded thou children of Israel that they observe the years according to this reckoning, 364 days, and these will constitute a complete year. So to answer the question, how many days are in the Hebrew year? 364. All right. Those are broken up into 4 seasons. And each season has what? We have 12 months in a year, so each season has to have what? 3 months apiece. All right? Let's do a little bit of reading a little bit. Okay. Let's go back up to 22 in the book of Jubilees. It says, for I have written in the book of the first law, in which I have written thee, and thou shalt celebrate it in its season, 1 day in the year. And I explained to thee the sacrifices that the children of Israel should remember and should celebrate it throughout their generations in this month, 1 day every year. And on the new month of the first month, and of the new month of the 4th month, and the new month of the 7th month, and the new month of the 10th month. These are the days of remembrance and the days of the seasons. So what season is this? If we start the beginning of the year, if we go back to what? Spring. Aviv is when the beginning of the year is in the spring. So this is spring. This is summer. This is fall. This is winter. All right? We haven't established when they start yet. We're just basically dividing these things up, right? If you read down, I'm going to skip ahead, from 24 all the way down to 32 where we left off, it's going to talk about these were actually the times when Noah was building the ark, and he's using these days as the days of remembrance. But then we get down to 33. Let's go down here. It says, but if they do neglect and do not observe them according to his commandment, then they will disturb all the seasons. That means if you don't observe this 364-day calendar, you're going to disturb your seasons. And they will be dislodged in their order. And they will disturb the seasons and the years and will be dislodged. And they will neglect their ordinances. This is what it's saying that the empire of Israel is going to do if we don't observe this 364. And all the children of Israel will forget, and they will not find the path of their years. Is that not what has happened? Right. And they will forget the new moons or the new months, the seasons, the Shabbats, and they will go wrong as to all the orders of the years. For I know, and from henceforth I will declare unto thee, and it is not my own devising, for this book lies written before me, and on the heavenly tablets the divisions of the days is ordained, lest they forget the feast of the covenant and walk accordingly to the feast of the Gentiles. This is exactly what we're doing right now. After all the error and after their ignorance. 36, remember this. That's why I made it red. For there will be those who will assuredly make observations of the moon, how it disturbs the seasons and comes in from year to year, 10 days too soon. Even in the book of Jubilees, they knew that they were on a 354-day lunar calendar that doesn't coincide with the 364. Okay? And I'm going to stop there. I'm going to keep on moving. All right. In the book of Enoch. In the book of Enoch, it talks about, and let me get there. Got all my accoutrements here up here. All right. In the book of Enoch, in the 72nd chapter, I'm going to sum this up for you. So you can go back and do your research on this and fact check me. You can read this. Enoch gives us this time period in between here and here. Here and here. Okay? Here and here. Between, and this would cycle back over here. In the book of Enoch, it says, in between your seasons is 13 weeks. You got 13 weeks from season to season. When I start the first season, or in the first month, I'm going to go down 13 weeks, and then I'm going to hit my second season of summer. I do another 13 weeks. I'm going to hit fall. And then another 13 weeks, and then I'm going to hit winter. I do another 13 weeks, and I'll go right back to spring. What is 13 times 4? 52. It's 52. That's how we get to the 52 weeks in the year. And that's how we know between each individual, it's actually equidistant from each other. Every single month, or every single season has 13 weeks in between it. Okay? Now, how many days are in each individual month? The book of Enoch explains that as well. When you read the 72nd chapter of Enoch, it's kind of confusing because basically what he's saying is I looked in the easterly sky and I saw the sun come out of the fourth portal, and it set in the fourth portal. And it did this for 30 mornings. Okay? So when I use references like Enoch and we go to, you'll be able to see it up here better on the board. This is the 72nd chapter of Enoch. Right here, he talks about in the third verse, he talks about those 6 portals. And then he starts rattling off. The first month has 30 days. The second month has 30 days. The third month has 31 days. Fourth month, 30 days. Somebody write this down so I can remember when I go to the next service. Somebody write this down real quick. I'm looking at you because you got your pen out. First month, 30 days. Second month, 30 days. Third month, 31 days. Fourth month, 30 days. Fifth month, 30 days. Sixth month, 31 days. Seventh month, 30 days. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I lift off at 7. Eighth month, 30 days. Ninth month, 31 days. No, I messed that up. Where did I leave off? Give it to me again. Where did I leave off at 8? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay. 10th month, 30 days. 11th month, 30 days. 12th month, 31 days. First month, what is it, 30? 30 days. Next, 30. Last, 31. That's your first set of seasons right there. No, you're gonna have a 31 in each block. See how that's 364 days when you add all that up? Well, give it to me how I gave it to you. Fourth month, 30. There you go. It's like that for each one. So you know how many days are in your month. Right? Okay? All that adds up to 364 days. I know when my season will start because it's 13 weeks from the time that I start. But now we got to establish when we start. What day do we start the year on? Where do we start? How do I know when the first day of the year is? You got to go back to the book of Enoch for that. Okay? And you got to go back to this last sentence. Book of Enoch, 72nd chapter. It's going to tell you this. It's going to tell you that, and the length, this is verse 33, and the length of the day and of the night, and the shortness of the day and of the night arise through the course of the sun, which were these distinctions made. Okay, keep going. These distinctions made. So it comes that in the course becomes daily longer, and its course becomes nightly shorter. And this is the law of the course of the sun, and his return as often as he returns 6 times and rises the great luminary, which is named the sun, forever and ever. And I'm trying to find a place in here where it says that the end of the year is when there's equal parts day and equal parts night. And it says it in there somewhere, and I got it highlighted on the board. What am I? Oh my gosh. Woo! I got it highlighted on the board. It says, on that day, the night decreases and the amounts to 9 parts, and the day to 9 parts, and the night is equal to the day, and the year is exactly as it is days 364. So we know whenever there is equal light and there is equal darkness, that's the end of the year. That's the end of the year. That means, what are we looking for? We're not looking for, in our science, people are going to try to blow, they're on the equinox. It's not an equinox. It's an equilux, is what you're looking for. I see a frown come over here like, what in the world is an equilux? Equinox is when they say, okay, the winter solstice is getting ready to start, or the summer solstice is getting ready, or the spring solstice is getting ready to start. It's when the sun passes on a sphere over the equator. That's the equinox. I'm talking about an equilux, where there's equal light and equal darkness for a certain amount of period of time. That's going to happen on that's going to happen on March 17th, this month, where we'll have equal night and equal day. The very next day is the Shabbat. When is the 17th this year? It's a Friday. So if that's the end of the year is on a Friday, then the Shabbat is the beginning of the first day of the year. So it falls on the Shabbat, the beginning of the year, Aviv. And what does it say? You are to observe that, okay? Now, all you're going to do at that particular point is count from the first day. How many days do I have in my first month of the Hebrew calendar? You just told me. 30, 30, 31. 30, 30, 31. 30, 30, 31. That's the Hebraic calendar. That's when you can say, when you read over there and it says, in the 7th month, on the first day, that is actually man, let's go get it. Let's go get it. I got to go get it real quick. Oh, my goodness. Let's go get it. Let's go to Bad Midbar 29. Oh, boy. You know what I'm going to do, y'all? You know what I'm going to do? Is this supplanted in your mind? Do we have a good foundation? Do we have a great foundation? Because this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you all the proofs and finish this series the next time I talk. We're going to finish this up and brush this up. Good foundation. Good foundation. We're going to continue with this idea and disconnect the phases of the moon with the beginning of the month. Now you see real quick how I showed you that if it started on the Shabbat, on the 18th, the moon phase has nothing to do with that. Whatever the moon phase is at that time, that's just what it is. Because I'm going to count 30 days from that day to the next month. And another 30 days. Wherever the phase of the moon is at that time, that's where it sits. All right? Let me bless you. Yivareka ka Yahweh v'yishmareka. Yahweh, or Yair Yahweh panav eleka v'huneka. Yisa Yahweh panav eleka v'yasam laka shalom. Which means may Yahweh bless you and keep you. May his face shine upon you and show you his favor. May Yahweh lift up his face towards you and give you shalom. Thank you.